Welcome back to my podcast show, Pondering That with Saffron King. Today we're here with a very special person, renowned producer, singer, songwriter, Tony Sway. Tony Sway has served as a producer, songwriter, and vocalist for people like Frankie J, actor and singer Quincy. He's also given Grammy beats to Tyga and who else? I'll Be Sure and Crazy Bone. That's not obviously to limit to just those people, but as you can see, he's a very special person. He's worked with some big stars. So hello, Tony.
Hey, nice to meet you, Saffron.
Nice to meet
Appreciate the
you.
introduction.
Oh, I thought I need to do you justice. I really do.
Uh,
So, so Tony, how, when did you realize you were passionate about music and how did that come about?
yeah, so I first started off being passionate about sports. So like baseball. Baseball was I was big into baseball, but music didn't start for me until I was about 12 years old. So when I was about 12, I started skipping out on school a lot. So I couldn't join the teams. They would, you have to stay in school in order to be on the baseball teams back then. And so since I couldn't get on the baseball team back then, I just started I tried to find different hobbies that I could get into, and music had always been very important to me, and I was always already a big fan, but I started to get an interest in actually playing the piano, and I convinced my mom to pick up a synthesizer at one of the used pawn shop one of the secondhand stores, and I don't know, I guess I kind of fell in love with making music from that point, and I just never stopped. It never stopped. And that was, yeah, at 12 years old, 12,
Wow.
13. Yeah.
So 12, 13, that's very young. And I feel like so much of us, we chop and change what we want to do. Obviously, that's okay. But the fact
Yeah.
that you were so passionate about it from a young age and you're still consistent with it now, that's amazing. And what what inspires you when you're creating music?
Yeah. Usually I'm inspired by, the music I grew up on. So whether it be Michael Jackson, to like 90s, like Mariah Carey, Tamia, I'll Be Sure, John B, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Obviously, I got a chance to work with Crazy Bone, which is cool. But just listening to that music, it inspires me to make music that's similar, like, come up with my own ideas. So that's what inspires me the most. Is other people's music. I'm just a big fan, really. I'm a big fan of other people.
Wow, I think, and
Yeah.
that's a quality of humility as well. I feel like that's a beautiful thing to say because you're so talented, and often as well, people see the people in front of the screen, but actually, there's so much people that work behind the scenes, like producing the beats, producing the music. Like, there's so
Right.
much things that you do, and if you didn't do it, things probably wouldn't sound as good.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
no, thank you for sharing that. And I recently saw as well, like you've had like over 300 million streams. Like, how does that feel to have your work recognized on such a huge level like that?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. And so that many streams, it comes from it's from different things. So I have 70 million streams on my YouTube, but then the other artists that I work for have obviously got streams to the songs that I've produced. So there's Cookie Kawaii Vibe, and then there's a remix with Tyga. So that in itself has a couple hundred million. And then I have some songs that I produce for other artists, like my real life brother Styles Major. He raps, and we have a song that's like 17 million. It's called Dreams, that
Wow.
has like 17 million. So if when you combine it all together, it's around 300 million. So yeah,
That
it adds up. It does add. It adds up.
That's amazing, honestly. And I think honestly, like like when I used to look at like your YouTube and like the work that you produce and the recognition, I feel like, I don't know, like for me it was very rare, especially on a producer level, because I feel like I don't follow a lot of producers on YouTube. The fact that you already have your own platform and you're very known for what you do, I think that's really commendable. Um, Growing up, was there any producers that I mean, I know that you're a producer and a singer-songwriter, but in terms of producing, was there a producer that you looked up to when you were younger?
Um, yeah, my favorite producers when I was younger, Teddy Riley,
Oh,
and yeah, probably number one, Teddy Riley, and then on the hip hop side, DJ Quick, and yeah, I keep the DJ Quick,
oh,
this
wow. Oh, I
his
love
album
that.
cover. That's my
Oh,
favorite. This is like one of the best produced hip hop albums of all time. Like sonically, it has like some of the best mixes, and in my opinion. So yeah, Teddy Riley and DJ Quick, those were the producers that really inspired me to do beats,
mm,
really, to be honest. Yeah.
amazing. And was there any part of your journey where you felt like your dream was it was too far-fetched, or you felt like you couldn't really reach there?
I never really thought. It's funny because, when you're talking, when I'm 12, 13, 14, 15, those ages, I'm 40 years old. So in
Mm.
the generation that I'm from, there wasn't like a social media or a way to get out. It didn't really cross my mind. My focus when I was young was just to try to get good, because I don't think I was that good when I was at that age. I was kind of bad. So I was just trying to get good. Yeah, people started telling me that I was getting good around maybe like 16, 17. They go, "Oh, this is sounding like something."
Wow.
And yeah, I didn't really know how it was going to become like a business thing. At the age of like 17, I guess I wasn't really worried about making money at that point. As long as my mom got me McDonald's, I so yeah, I would just go in the room and play on the keyboards and record it on the computer with my friends. And then yeah, I didn't think about the money aspect and the business aspect until maybe really until I was maybe like 22 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. It took me a while to think about the money side of it.
Wow, that's amazing. And it shows that you actually had just like a natural passion for it. I mean, they do say if you really
Yeah.
love something, you would do it for free, wouldn't you? And like, obviously, we need money and we need to live, but like, you've definitely reached that all that hard work. And I mean, I was watching a reel recently of Ice Cube where he says, if you can't do something for 5 years without getting any money for it, then forget it.
Yeah,
Because
no, it's
yeah.
true. I almost feel sorry for some of the younger people in this generation doing music, because um, I think so much of it is all about business, right? People talk about business so fast that people don't have time to actually develop, if they even really want to do it. So I see people starting off to trying to sell beats online. Like I sell beats online, but there's a lot of younger people that are starting off, and they'll complain when they put out 10 beats and nobody buys their track. And I'm like, wow, they should have came up in my generation, where it's like you find out if you really want to do something, because you'll do it without money even coming through. You'll just do it. And so I guess I'm kind of lucky to come from that time where it wasn't a money thing.
Mm.
And locally where I'm from, there was no opportunities to actually make money to produce anybody. I'm from Seattle area, and Seattle, Washington.
Ah.
It's mainly alternative music out here, like Nirvana and all those people. So there's not a huge R&B scene out here. So it was like, I wouldn't know how to find work anyways back when I was young. I was just hoping, one day that I think when I got about 22, 23, MySpace came out.
Oh,
And
yes,
then
I remember
yeah,
MySpace
yeah,
days.
MySpace days. And I started uploading music and beats on there, and people started liking it. And I started selling little CDs that had my beats. People would buy them, and after a while, I was like, oh wow, I guess people kind of like what I do, and something clicked, and I said maybe I should make this something that I as a career,
Wow.
and so I tried to pursue it as a career, and started getting very ambitious online, and putting out a bunch of music. So yeah.
Easy. So you said that going back to what you said in terms of you're from Seattle in Washington. What
Yeah.
was your childhood like? Because I know I watched a recent YouTube video of you where you spoke about like you were born like, well, this is what your word said, like you come from the gutter. And the reason why I paused then is because I don't like to put words in people's mouths, but I wanted to use your words. And yeah, like what, like just tell us a bit more about like where you're coming from, because I feel like people see the spotlight, but they don't always see the journey that the person has had to take to get where they are now, like yourself.
Yeah, so pretty much when I was younger, yeah, my mom for the most part was a single mom. My dad was around here and there, but unfortunately, he did get caught up into the prison system. So, uh, he'd be locked up for a year. We maybe me and my brother and sisters we might see him for maybe like a month, couple months, and then cops would come over and arrest him for. He'd always have like warrants, and here and him and my mom didn't always get along. They got along sometimes, but a lot of times they had a rough, rocky relationship. They had us. My mom had us when she was very young, 18 years old, and my dad was. I'm the first kid, so she was 18. My dad was 17, so they're very young parents, and arguing all the time and all that kind of stuff. So my mom got on the welfare system right away. And as soon as she had my brother and my two sisters, that check, the government check, it didn't go as far. Once she had more kids, it didn't go as far. So it was really rough. Like the electricity, water turned off, all that kind of stuff. Homeless several times. Luckily, we had a lot of family members, and my mom had friends that they would, the times when she did go homeless for a couple months, we'd usually stay with a grandma or a aunt. And as a kid, I just think it's normal. I didn't realize how bad it got until like I was like in my early teens, and I was like, oh wait, this is maybe not as normal. My friends are not living like they have food every day. How come we don't have food every day? Or they're not homeless. How come we're going from place to place? So it was like I started to recognize that, yeah, it kind of was difficult kind of being on the bottom level in life. But yeah, so that's when I say when I come from the gutter, that's what I mean, is that dad in prison most of the time, mom on the government check. And it was really hard for us for a long time. And luckily around the time when I started working, like I started getting little grocery store jobs, my mom, she finally moved up to the middle class and got a decent job. But it was towards the end, like 15, once I reached about 15, 16, our life changed a bit. But by that point, I was able to also start working I think at like 17 maybe. And but yeah, but it was a long time of struggle.
That's
Yeah.
really hard, and especially like going from place to place, like the stability. Every child needs stability as well. And what
Yeah.
amazes me is that even despite of your childhood and you experiencing that, you've still been able to thrive and to really execute. Would you say as well that what you went through, it gave you the fuel to go hard like you're doing with your producing?
Yeah. It's funny when as a kid, as I was going through that stuff, um, it I don't know, I got over things so fast when I was younger. It didn't bother me that I was like, oh yeah, I guess we're poor or whatever. Like I just go outside, play baseball, and then come back and play on the keyboard. And then maybe my dad get out of jail, and they would be low on cash, and they'd be like, okay, we gotta sell that keyboard or pawned it. And so sometimes I wouldn't have a keyboard for a while either. And
Mm.
then so it was, yeah, but I guess I got over stuff really fast as a kid. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll go play baseball again for a while. I just got over it fast. And
Very resilient.
yeah,
Very
I'm
resilient.
resilient. So it took me till I was older to kind of think about my life and be like, oh wow, that was yeah, I guess it was difficult. But the fuel that I got, it's kind of hard to say. I don't know if it was from having a hard life. It was more so from just being obsessed with music. Like
Mm.
it, because like I said, it wasn't money motivated back then. It was just like I was like, oh, I want to make a song like I'll Be Sure Night and Day. How do I do that? It was more of a just an obsession.
Mm.
And then yeah, so it wasn't even about like, it wasn't like a fuel for like all a lot of people are like, oh, I got to get this money, but I didn't start thinking like that until I was like around 22. Then about around 22 I was like, oh yeah, let's get money, let's get this money, let's, but so the fuel was just the obsession for the music, really. Yeah.
Amazing. And look where you are now. And I want to talk about as well, there's a recent YouTube video that you put out about the music industry, um,
Right.
where you revealed like some things that you experienced in the music industry. What kind of motivated you to make that video?
Well, yeah, because I know a lot of people, especially younger people, early 20s, even late teens, they're not much different from how I was when I started out. I was very naive and I thought everybody was like me. I thought everybody was trustworthy and nice. And I didn't really realize that there's a lot of scam and scammers in the industry, and catfishing people is what people who will say that there's somebody else. And so that video is kind of more so to help people who are struggling on trying to find their place in the music industry, and so that they don't, it's so that they don't get taken advantage of like I did early on. And still to this day I have to deal with people trying to maybe not wanting to pay on time, or sometimes you might be working with the artist, and I'm not talking about my website, but this is within the industry, like people who have money, like and I'm not going to say names because
Of
you know what I
course.
mean. Some of these people, I'm still talking to some of them, to be honest. It's just, and so I don't want to direct it at anybody in particular, but sometimes these bigger artists with the budgets, for whatever reasons, are their labels, sometimes they will just not pay you, and you actually have to hire a lawyer. And I've had that experience that I'm not allowed to really talk about it because it was a legal thing, but I've had experience, multiple, or at least one experience where I've actually had to reach out to a lawyer, but they said that I can't mention the details. But so basically, you have to get a lawyer once you get on to the bigger levels of dealing with large amounts of money. And so, but yeah, the label in that case, the lawyer that I dealt with in the label, they took care of me very well. But there's been other cases where, like I said, I've excuse me, dealt with people one-on-one, and see, I sing a little bit, so I start losing my voice after a while.
Oh
That's
no.
from doing all this, from singing so much.
Don't worry, you're singing and using your voice for different things, and you're also a father.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
but
Oh.
yeah, so there's been times where I've dealt with the artists, and artists that have, I mean, like I said, people that they're worth millions of dollars and stuff, and sometimes they just will just not pay you. And like I said, some in some cases I'll just let it go. Like if it's a person that, if there's going to be too many problems,
Hmm.
or if it's a dangerous situation where it's like, okay, if I try to go after them, who are they gonna, what are they gonna do to me? Or you know what I mean? So there's kind of some fear, a little bit fear aspect, because I said I've been around some of the hugest people in the industry, that it can get scary sometimes. So yeah, I can fight a little bit, but you're not, when you got these people they can send 20 guys to go after you if you put them on blast, you know what I mean? So not I don't have any problems, but it's just sometimes I don't want to create a problem. because these people have real money. So you don't, if you get on their bad side, you know, they could take care of you. And yeah, I work out, I do stay in the gym and stuff, but you know, when you got 10 gang members after you because you put their artists on blast. I said something about that in the video, and somebody asked, "Oh, Tony Sway needs bodyguards," and I was like, "No, I pick the battles that I can win. Like if it's an easy situation, I'll deal with it with the lawyer. But if I'm dealing with people in the industry they're well connected, where they can hurt you pretty much. So I'll kind of pick those battles more wisely. So I'll just like, you know what? They owed me a couple grand or something. I'll leave it alone because I don't want to get involved with any kind of buffoonery. I have a family, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. You've got a family and also you've got a career that you want to keep maintaining. But it's a shame that you've had to go through this in an industry that you've been passionate about and you've given so much to. I'd never think that you'd have to go through this, and that's why it's good that you made that video, because it's showing other people who are either wanting to get into the industry or who are on their way there, like, actually, you know what, there's real life consequences and situations that you have to maneuver. It's not all glamorous and glitz and fame.
Yeah, it's not. The most success I've actually had is just being independent and from normal artists who are not big time, just buying tracks for me. That's been some of my biggest success. I've had one song really take off on TikTok, and that paid me really, really well. But aside from that, it's actually just the everyday artist that buys from my website that's actually supported my career mostly. It's actually the people that are in the industry are the hardest ones to get paid from. I swear, they're the hardest people sometimes to get anything from, because a lot of them expect you to just do it for free because they have clout. Like they might have 10 million Instagram followers. So if you say, "Hey, can you I just did these 10 records for you, and I've just did whatever. I produced your whole project. I've done this. Do you think that you could throw me a couple bucks?" And they'll just leave you on ghost. Meanwhile, I got everyday artists that are not famous that will pay $600 for one beat, while these famous other people in the industry, can be really cheap. I don't know what, like I said, they see it is that they have clout, and that, oh, you're using my name. That sometimes,
they see it, I suppose they see it as they're doing you a favor, like for you to have that on your resume or your credits, like, but no, you still deserve to be paid at the end of the day, whether they're the biggest artist in the world or whether they're just starting out. I think you still should get paid for your labor. So it's interesting that you share this, and thank you for sharing it, because I know it's not an easy thing to do, and it's very selfless as well, because the music industry it's a big industry, and I think it's very glorified, and people don't really want to speak on it, and if people do speak on it, then they get a lot of attention. So yeah. And in speaking about this, what would you advise a producer or a new artist that is looking to get into the industry? What would you say to them who's listening and watching this?
I would say, when you do when you work with anyone, especially somebody that does have a big following, you do want to get contracts involved, especially with the bigger the artist is, because I've done a lot of things with people where it's just handshake. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna do that. And a lot of those people do not honor the handshake deals. They don't honor it. So I learned from those situations. Like, I was trying to be kind of like, Prince Rogers Nelson, where he used to talk about not doing contracts. He used to talk about doing handshake deals. So I was actually trying to follow in his footsteps of kind of just being a good-hearted person. But unfortunately, a lot of the people that I've worked with didn't honor those handshake deals of like, oh yeah, I'm going to get you for that. Cool. I'm not even worried about it. Then it's like 3-4 years later, they've now still haven't paid you a dime. Meanwhile, they're still ringing up your phone asking you for, hey, can I get this track? Hey, can I get this? And it's like, whoa, man. You have it, it's kind of like, wow, really? You're still asking me for stuff. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, and I wish I could say the people, but it's just, it's, like I said, it'd be dangerous for me to start talking about who it
No,
is,
of
because
course.
they're
Yeah.
well-connected people in the industry. And I've opened my mouth before in the past, and I've had to take down that video because it started to get a lot of attention. And that video was about a particular situation, but sometimes those videos, they tend to start picking up traction, and it actually made its way. It made its way to the label, and they asked me to take it down, and they actually ended up paying me for it. But they weren't dangerous or anything. But some of the other people that I know they're more dangerous. They can, I like I said, I can't really say about it, but say much about it. But there's just one thing I'd say to people that are dealing with bigger people in the industry, that there is dangerous people in the industry that have a lot of money, and you don't want to play games with them. So like I said, I almost didn't want to upload that video because, like I said, it's the darker side of the industry, and I'm kind of just a happy-go-lucky, nice person. But when big amounts of money are involved, when you got hundreds of thousands of dollars or a potential $1 million deal or something on the table, or somebody's credibility, like let's say I'm trying to tell somebody like, this person did me wrong. Well, this person might be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So if I make a video putting them down, that's not a good look. And they have enough money where they can say, hey, shut that person up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's, yeah, mom, if you're watching this, I'm fine. But it's just like, I will, I know how to pick my battles. But that's what I'll just warn people is, try to do your deals with contracts. It's going to save you a lot of trouble, because unfortunately people don't always honor the handshake deals where it's like, yep, I'm going to pay you that. Okay. They don't always honor it. So, but shout out to the people that have taken care of me, because there is a few good people in the industry, and I want to shout them out. So, yeah, I have a great lawyer that I work with, and he's really helped me out a lot. Yeah.
Amazing. And you know what, Tony, in spite of everything that you've experienced, you're still being consistent every time, because I'm subscribed to your YouTube channel. You're someone who regularly comes up on my notifications, like you've got a new instrumental out. You're so consistent, and that's what I'm saying. I'd never think, when I saw that video, I was very surprised, not surprised because it was like offensive or anything like that, but because I would never think that you would go for that, especially because your work rate hasn't been affected by what you've experienced.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of, I tend not to say too much. I try to keep it more about the music, but I just had this feeling with inside of me that was like, you know what if somebody could have saved me from some of the stuff I went through? And I didn't, obviously, there's probably not enough time on your show to mention everything, but even earlier on, I've paid people money to, whatever, like I've paid people money in the industry to shop my music, and I've got that money stolen from me and my other artists that I was working with at the time. I had a group, and they stole from me and my group member, just fake A&Rs. So I've had that happen early on. And then my first placement was going to be with Genuine, the singer Genuine, and he has this entertainment company called Bag Entertainment back in MySpace era, and his manager was going to purchase 2 exclusive tracks for $5,000. And then I had a really janky manager I was working with at the time, who he was going to try to have me give him like a huge amount of the money, and he was scamming me on a bunch of things I couldn't see clearly, because he just said, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And I was young, and I was like, it was so many times I almost got ripped off. And I'm kind of telling people in that video that you kind of have to have people that you know personally that can kind of be on your side for when you have to deal with these contracts or any kind of offers. Get people that you can trust on your team, because yeah, I was getting scammed earlier when I was young. I learned from it, but as the opportunities would increase over the years, there would be a lot bigger things at stake. That was just a $5,000 deal, and it ended up being that it was for I forgot what album it was. It was like, I don't know if it was like his fourth album. It was like his album he put out like it was like around the 2007 2008, that Last Chance album. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and the manager, the person that I was dealing with from his camp, reached back and said, "Hey, Genuine's not going to use these beats. He recorded to him, but he's not going to use them. We decided that we're going to work with Timbaland and B Cox and a couple of the heavy hitters at the time." I think I was like 25, so I was kind of heartbroken. I was like, "Oh,"
Oh,
but
oh.
luckily it didn't go through, because I signed a contract with this other manager he was going to take the majority of the money. So I'm kind of glad that didn't go through anyways. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing all of this, Tony. And
Yeah.
honestly, God bless you and continue going forward in spite of, all of the negativity. Because like you said, there is positivity and there are people that have looked out for you. It's just about having the right circle around you. And from your YouTube video where you were exposing the darkest secrets of music
Yeah.
industry, one thing that you said which stood out to me is that you have to, basically have a good team around you, and also
Right.
not to, be easily trusting of certain people and just testing their character. So no, honestly, thank you so much for sharing all of your gems. And where can we find you on social media?
Yeah. So you can find me at Instagram.com at Tony Sway. Obviously, I'm on YouTube.com /Tony Sway Official. I think that's it, actually. I don't remember what it was. I think it's Tony Sway Official on YouTube. Yeah. So,
Amazing.
and yeah, you can go to TonySwayMusic.com. And I promise you that there's a lot more positive things to experience when you do music. That was just one video about some of the bad experiences, but I don't want to discourage anybody from pursuing it as a career, because I'm still doing it. I'm still surviving. So yeah. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Tony. Thank you for listening, guys. And you know where to find us. We are on Instagram at _pondering that with Saffron, and also on YouTube, pondering that with Saffron King, and Spotify and Apple. So guys, stay positive, and as Tony said, still keep chasing those dreams, but just be careful, and yeah, have a great team around you, because that's what's going to get you through it all. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Tony. Bye for now, guys. Thank you for listening.